The second part of the session, it will be Iliana Iskrenova from Eurostat. She will present a paper about statistical business register user survey. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Pierrette. My name is Iliana Iskrenova. I am statistical officer in business register team in Eurostat, and I will try to present to you our first ever conducted user survey on business registers, which was done in 2017. We wanted to present something new that first, I will start with our data quality program from statistical business registers. In fact, our user survey for statistical business register is part of this quality program. I will present to you what were the objectives of survey, how we designed the survey, how data collection was done, and shortly we will present the results, the outcome of this task. In fact, have to be noted that our user survey covered not only EGR business register, but national statistical business registers. And the aim of our survey was, in fact, to find direction for improvement for national register and for the EGR register. That's why at the end of my presentation, I will include part of data quality targets that, in fact, were set up on the basis of this user survey. Let's start with data quality program. In fact, this program is new one. It was set up by Eurostat in 2016 with collaboration with all member states. And in fact, this program, have to be clear, covers all national business registers in European Union and EGR register. The overall objective of our program is to achieve this substantial improvement of the network of business register quality to allow us to full improvement of the backbone role of the production of business statistics and in European statistical system. Our data quality program is in line with the general European statistical standards on quality. It's made of 4 main components, and 2 days ago, Professor Diego Conen already mentioned this PDCA cycle, and in fact, in our quality program, we use it, and we found it very useful in order in cycle way to follow the quality of registers and to improve it in order to reduce the gap. What are the 4 main components of this data quality program? This is quality reporting, or assist state, that settles in a standardized way quality and metadata reporting for national business registers and for EGR. The second component, quality targets, or to be state, specify the quality targets to enable assessment of both register, national one and EGR. And third component, this quality assessment, we in fact try, and our aim is to assess the gap between to be and assist state. It's addressed to quality assessment of statistical business registers. And the last component, quality improvement. In fact, this is the reducing, I already said, the gap between assist state and to be state, and is dedicated to continuously improvement of statistical business register quality. What was the main goal of our user survey that was organized by Eurostat? In fact, we try to use this survey to find the gap between information which is already available in business register and to see what information on variables and statistical units is needed in fact by our users. And by users, we mean the statisticians in national statistical institutes. In fact, we launched this user survey in April 2017, and results that we collect from the user survey were used to define new quality targets for both register national one for all member states and EFTA countries, and also for EGR. How was user consultation designed? In fact, Eurostat, in cooperation with member states, elaborated the survey methodology. We have two questionnaires. One was dedicated to national business registers, how national statistical users use it, the information. And the second one, the questionnaire was EGR questionnaire, and we put some specific questions in order to see what is the usage of information on multinational enterprise groups at national level. The survey was organized by using online survey managing tool, was secured by European Commission Authentication Service, and most important and for well conducting of this survey, I have to mention this coordination of our business register coordinates in all member states. In fact, in national statistical institutes, the survey was guided by our national statistical institute coordinators, and they helped in order to make this bridge between statistician and business register, because we found that, and also results of the surveys show us, nevertheless, statistical business register is designed to be used by our colleagues in other departments. They are not familiar too much with the content, which units, which variables are covered, and it was also a good opportunity to our national statistical coordinators, in fact, our colleagues in business register, to make this user survey. At the end of the survey, our coordinators provide information to us, and Eurostat, at the end of the process, summarize and analyze the results. What was the main outcome of the survey? In fact, responses were provided by a majority of EU countries and 2 EFTA countries. And in total, we received 400 user responses, and on the national SBR questionnaire, and collected 100 responses on EGR questionnaire. About 10 national users in total, on 5 EGR users per country, completed the survey, and the survey results show that 90% of survey respondents regularly use national business register in production of statistics, and 1/3 of EGR respondents reported that they regularly use EGR. I first will focus on results of national business registers, and then on the second part I will cover what are results for EGR usage at national level by statistical producers. What are the main outcome and results for national business registers? They used in several statistical domains, with business statistical macroeconomic accounts predominating, Information on legal units, local units, and enterprises is used in regular statistical production. The enterprise group information is not much used. What are results focusing only on legal units? In fact, the regular users of business register information reported that the identification and demographic characteristic are regularly used in statistical production. Demographic characteristic legal form is highly relevant for them. Information on linked registers is used mainly with reference to associated registers in which the legal unit is recorded. Concerning the local unit, also the outcome of the survey showed that the identification characteristics are highly relevant to users. The most often used economic characteristics is principal activity code at 4-digit level, number of persons employed, number of employees, and geographical location code. Focusing on enterprises, the most used were mentioned the identification characteristics. In fact, this ID number of enterprise and the name of enterprise, all demographic characteristics are in use in regular statistical production. The most used economic characteristics, again, this is activity code, the main on 4-digit level, number of persons employed, number of employees, and turnover. Concerning the enterprise group and information in national business registers, the major relevant identification characteristic, again, it's ID number and the name of enterprise group. And major relevant economic characteristics are principal activity code at 2-digit level and number of persons employed in the group. Which purposes of use were mentioned by our national users of business registers? The results show that mainly for statistical analysis, calculation, summing up, also as main usage of business register information was mentioned identification and delineation of units, microdata linking, and sample frame with certification. Also, a broad range of other purposes were mentioned, including profiling, customized research, validation and verification of annual national accounts, supply use tables, complying trade by enterprise characteristics, classifying foreign direct investments by economic activity, and etc. As the major input of our user survey, in fact, was the fact that the regular statistical producers indicated some shortcomings of business registers. They were classified in two groups, manageable one and serious shortcomings of business registers from user perspective point of view. But it was good that the most of shortcomings were indicated by users as manageable one. And the analysis of results of the survey showed that the most serious shortcomings are related to business register units, characteristics, coverage, and timeliness. Now, on the second part, I will cover the results for EGR register, in fact, how EGR information is used at national level by statistical producers. What showed the survey? In fact, the EGR information mainly used, it not surprise us, in business statistics and globalization. Most of the legal unit characteristics are used in statistical production. Relevant characteristics for enterprises and multinational enterprise groups are used. And most of the NSIs use the EGR information for identification and delineation of units. Also, as for national register, for EGR, our users indicate some shortcomings. Again, they put these shortcomings according to their usage as manageable one. What shortcomings were indicated. In fact, according to their needs, they met some shortcomings in terms of units, coverage, missing characteristics, timeliness, frequency, and some other issues were mentioned. Most of indicated shortcomings, as I already said, were related to coverage and timeliness. How? I already mentioned for our data quality program, and how we use the results for our survey. In fact, we wanted at the current, in 2016, we included in our data quality program only quality targets that come from our EU regulation on business registers. We call this compliance targets, or minimum quality targets that shall be met by countries in order to be compliant to our business register regulation. And in our data quality program, we also we included some extended targets, but as part of its user needs, and in fact, we try to set up, as a result of our user survey, maybe to go to the next slide, we try to use the results of the survey to define new quality targets for national business register and for EGR. The statistical business register quality targets are used by Eurostat in the annual quality assessment. National Statistical Business Register and EGR follow the annual SBR data quality program in this cycle manner in order to improve gradually the quality of business registers in standardized way. And this is what are the conclusions and what are the next steps after this first user consultation. What Eurostat and also member states found this survey very useful, and in fact information, detail one is available only inside for European Statistical System. It's published in our web portal. But we decided that such exercise, nevertheless, we speak on business that we have to reduce the burden. In fact, it's a very important step to have this user consultation with our statistical users in order to see what are the steps to improve the quality of both register, national one and EGR, in order to fulfill their backbone role in the future. And Eurostat, it was proposed to countries, and in fact this year in our May working group was accepted by countries. We will have such regular user survey on business registers regularly, and maybe on each 3 or 5 years we will see, but the second user consultation will be done in 2020. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ileana. Some question for Ileana? Roland?
Thank you. From our second keynote speaker, I learned that data we collect is only worth collecting if we use it. So from this information that you collected from the survey, from the user survey, do you think it's, specific enough that you can manage improvements? For example, if you know that users say there are variables missing in the registers, in the EGR, is it specific enough? Do you know which variables, and can you, on this, then have a strategy to overcome this? And the second question would be, what about the user central banks? I'd be interested in the central banks. Have you addressed them, and what is their, say, use of the EGR?
Thank you very much for questions. In fact, concerning how you use the survey results, for sure the variables which were proposed by some statistical users, in fact, we receive a lot of responses from tech statistics colleagues, and they propose, in fact, to include the needed for them units and information in order to use just business registers, basic tool to elaborate their statistics, but for sure business statistics, business register could be used by using these techniques by microdata linking. That's why we stick to the variables and statistical units which are in our BR regulation. It's not foreseen to enlarge or to shorten them. You know, this mandatory part, we could not just avoid it and not to update such variables in our business registers. Concerning the national central banks, in fact, on this first user consultation, we did not receive many replies, many input from them, and maybe it was because of this national coordination of SBR user survey. Some of countries provided questionnaires to the central banks, and we have their feedback, but in fact, we didn't receive many proposals on how to summarize how banks use EGR information. It was, we have some general input. Okay, EGR information is very important for us. They insist to have access to microdata, but maybe our questions also were not formulated and structured in this way to collect more detailed information, but we have only this general request for them that, but it was good indication that for responses that we get, there is a big interest of national central banks to use EGR register.
Thank you, Iliana. I think that now is time for the next and last presentation. Thank you. Thanks a lot. The presentation will be done by Zornica Manolova from Global LEI Foundation. She will speak about how to connect the dots with high-quality LEI data. The floor is yours.
If you tell me where I can find my presentation, would be good.
It's
Hello, everyone. My name is Zornica Manolova, and I joined GLIFE in April this year as head of data quality. And one of my first tasks was to write a paper, and I'm very pleased that the paper was accepted, and I have the opportunity today to present our data quality management program to you. My presentation has 4 main topics. The first one is about GLIFE and a short introduction about the LEI system, what is LEI. I will skip this part because it was there mainly for consistency and completeness purposes as managing data quality. These are one of our criteria, so I was focusing on them as well. Because my colleagues, you had already 2 presentations this week, I don't want to repeat ourselves, and I would like to focus on the data quality management program, and because there are some important topics about how the LEI system is structured, I will have a short stop there. And of course, at the end, conclusion and have the opportunity to have a short discussion with you. So, as I said, I will just skip those slides, but please feel free when you share the presentation with your colleagues when you're back to. They will have also all information in the one slide. I'll have a brief stop here, and the global LAI system was established with the purpose to improve the transparency in the financial sector, and how that could be done is not by just gathering massive amounts of data, but it has to be open, standardized, and high quality data. And this is what GLIFE exactly does: make available the LAI index free of charge on our website. Everybody can go there and just download the data. Even you don't need to make an account, which is very unusual nowadays. Standardized, why? Because, I mean, we heard today and yesterday already in some of the presentation here that it's challenging to gather data from multiple sources, even within one country, and to bring them on the same level. So there must be some standards established. And of course, high quality, just to ensure reliable data and to make possible to connect all the entities and dots in the financial market. Okay. This is the data quality value chain and describes what are the players or participants of the global LAI system and what are their responsibilities. So the data we gather is legal entity data, reference data, yeah, and the legal entity stays the ultimate owner of this data. And the search is responsible to provide correct data to the LAI issuer, or the local organization unit, also called, who is responsible to validate and verify the data. And we make very clear distinguishing between validation and verification. Validation is more on the record level, on the data itself, formats, and that connections are correct. And verification goes further and ensure that the data provided belongs to this entity, and the registrant is also in charge to register an LAI for the entity. And we at GLIFE are responsible for monitoring, assessing, and reporting the data quality. And then the chain go back to the LAI issuer and the legal entity itself. How the LAI is registered, it is by self-registration principle, and the LAI applicant provides the data to the LAI issuer. As I said, the LOUs validate and verify this data and then send it to us. And this is the stage where the reference data updates are triggered by the registrant. But we also have an annual renewal when we ensure that the LOU triggers an update in the data, contact the legal entity whether there are any changes. So I think this was an important information because we at GLIFE, we don't do any data cleansing and any data scrapping or such. We just receive the data, put everything together, assess the quality, and report it back. Our data quality program is based on the as you can see, and I think it was already shown this week, the Deming cycle. And this is to ensure continuous improvement in our services and the data. The data quality program itself is based on the idea of the total quality management, which was established in the 1970s in Japan by a Japanese manufacturer to ensure high quality products and services to their customers. So, and then today, you can imagine there are a lot of definitions about data quality. And how we understand it, high data quality is fit for the use by the user. As I said, the basis for our program is the Deming cycle. And for each part of the cycle, we have assigned different steps. And now, in the next slide, I will go deeper into each step and give you more deeper insights about them. Maybe just one note up front. As I just learned, our data profiling definition is slightly different than yours. We are more on the data record level. As I understand, you are doing then the connections between entities and records. Okay, let's start then with the check for duplicates. Check for duplicates is a technical facility provided by GLIFE to the LOs, and needs to be, it is used before the issuance of the LEI. Check for duplicates ensure previous deduplication for uniqueness and exclusivity. Uniqueness means we don't allow the same LEI code in the system, which in my opinion is quite easy to do. But the more challenging part is the exclusivity. As you can imagine, we want to have one LEI per entity, because we strongly believe that behind each entity there must be only one identity. And as such, we need to ensure that it could happen that, especially in big corporations, that multiple departments are requesting an LEI. And we need to ensure that only one LEI is issued. How we do this? Of course, with text matching algorithms. We use state-of-the-art text matching algorithms like Levenstein, N-gram, in combination with cosine distance. And if you are familiar with those kind of algorithms, you would know that they may produce also certain number of false positives. So we have incorporated a number of pre- and post-processing steps to ensure a manageable number of false positives and to minimize the manual effort that's needed for the review by the LEI issuer. There's an established communication protocol between us and the LEI issuer. So when we send them potential duplicates, we need to receive confirmation back whether it was an actual duplicate, and then the issuing of the LEI is stopped, or it was a false positive, and then an LEI can be issued. The next quality gate is the XML schema. So our data is provided to us, and we make it available in an XML format. And for those who are familiar with this format, it's a structured file format. In addition to that, we also have defined so-called XML schema definition. It's an additional file that describes exactly what should be in this file. Here already we implemented implicitly or also explicitly some of our data quality checks. In a sense that if, for example, first the file has to be compliant with a structure that is defined by us. If something is missing or XML tag is not closed, this file would be not allowed to enter our data pool. So we have here checks on a file level, but we also have checks on a record level where we, for example, ensure that the date format is consistent, gathered from all the parties. And you can imagine when you operate on a global level, there are very different formats of the data, and then we have also the time zone. So if we don't do this, it could become very fast, very messy. And additional add-on of the XSD, which we are using already, is to ensure some values for particular fields. They are within defined ranges. You can imagine this like simple lookup tables. Besides the checks which are embedded in the XML format and schema, we also have defined a number of other checks. Currently we have 75 checks from the type of, if X then Y else Z. I'm sure you're familiar with this type of description. All the checks define also the rule setting, how we call it. Everything is also available on our website. You can download also this information, look the checks, how they are defined. Each check belongs to one maturity level, and maturity levels are defined like required data quality, expected data quality, and excellent data quality. And then it is measured, of course, per LOU, but also in the global system. I have a slide afterwards where I can show you our monthly report. In addition to the maturity levels, we have defined 12 data quality criteria. So each check is assigned to one of those criteria, and only one. The checks themselves, they could have different purposes and could be from different types. We have some meta checks, which are, as you can imagine, more on a meta level, like how accessible is the data or how current is the data. Then we have the format checks on the file level. Most of them are embedded in the XML, as already mentioned. The same for the record level checks and value ranges. Most of the plausibility checks and checking relationship between fields, records, data itself are described in our rule setting. The checks between fields of one record are basically based on business rules. The same for the checks. They're verifying the relationships between different records. And in my opinion, these are one of the most challenging one when you can think of our, how we call it, level 2 data, so parentage, connection between different entities. And then we have checks which are proving relationships between the record that wants to enter the system and the system itself. A good example for this one is the duplicate check. Based on the checks, we provide our partners, the LOs, with daily results, which they can look at and improve the data. And of course, we also have, we are publishing a monthly data quality report, which could be also obtained on our website. It looks like this. So we have one number which is giving the total data quality score of the system. Then in the second item, we provide development of the last 3 months of the quality. The third item describes the quality per country. Then we have overview per data quality criteria, how many checks, how many failures for the current and previous reporting period. We are also listing the top 5 failing checks, so where we have the most failures in the current period. And as I said, we also give an overview of the current maturity level. And the next maturity level could be achieved only if the previous one is completely achieved. And this is also an important part of the structure. And the last item gives a descriptive statistic about number of LEIs, level 2 data, duplicates, and challenges. And with this, I'll come to our 5th data quality gate. We have a challenge management program, which gives the opportunity to everyone, if you spot an issue or discrepancy on one of the records, you would be able to click on a button and challenge this record, providing evidence why this record is maybe outdated or why there's a change. And this gives, I think, a huge opportunity to improve the data using the power of the crowd and making our data more up to date. And I'm in the conclusion part, where I just would like to emphasize again that data quality is nothing that you can just fix or change overnight. It's a continuous process. It requires the engagement of all involved parties. And yeah, we need to tackle it every day on a daily basis. And now I would like to open the question part.
Thank you, Danica. Some question? Yes, Zolt?
My question is that how is this yearly updating procedure running? Do you have some deadline that each entity should reply by this date on the status? So that means, do you have a date when there is the best quality available?
Yes. So each record has one field which is showing the next renewal date, when the LOU, the managing LOU of this record will contact the legal entity and ask for updates. And of course, because we don't want them to to do it on the last day possible, most of the LOU, they have implemented processes. They start contacting the legal entity a couple of weeks before. Yeah.
Another question? Yes, Sandro?
Thank you. How many people do you have working on data quality?
I have a team of 2 additional data analysts, and yeah, I'm up to growing it.
Enrica?
Thank you very much for your presentation. Sorry, it's the second question from Eurostat side. It shows that we are very interested in this system. I have 2 questions. The first one is, do you have any mechanism of enforcement of your quality, let's say, standards to the laws? And how does it work? And the second one is regarding the challenging management that you called, where everybody can challenge the information and update. How does this mechanism work together with the authentic source principle that you have shown in your picture?
Okay, so the first enforcement we can do is with the XML schema. So if a record is not compliant with the definition of the file and the embedded checks, it's not entering the system. This is the first one. But we also have service level agreements with the LOUs, where we also define certain service levels that needs to be achieved. I hope this answers your first question. And the second question about the challenge management. So if you want to challenge a record, you need to provide an evidence. Then this challenge item, the record with your information, is provided directly to the LOU. The LOU has to validate and verify this information against authoritative sources and to contact the legal entity, because, as I said at the beginning, at the end, the legal entity is the ultimate data owner. And the LOUs, they have 10 business days to close a challenge. And this is also ensured by service level agreements.
One more from Steen.
Yes, thank you for the presentation.
So I'd like to add one thing, if I may, on the first question. Because we have a master agreement with each LOU, which in the end gives us the possibility, if they don't perform according to the rules, to terminate the agreement and to, in fact, revoke the license to issue LEIs, which is the ultimate thing we can do in the end. Before that, there's several steps, which are others, of course, but this is the ultimate thing. Sorry.
Yes, I have a question. I'm from Denmark, and in Denmark it is by the law that companies have to register themselves by the direct owner and also the ultimative owner. And we have also, in these days, we are talking about the companies shall only give the information once, else we have incorrect data and it's confused for companies where shall they update. Are you thinking of that you could have other sources in countries where they have a law like Denmark, where they need to register them, so you can get, instead of 30,000 companies from Denmark, you will have yes, maybe 120,000 limited companies?
What is the question, sorry?
What is the question? The question is, do we also in the future need to, for the Danish companies, shall they go to a LEI to be registered, at a LOU, to be registered, or can you get the data from the Danish Business Authority where the data are free access? So why do Danish companies need to go to another source and pay for this LEI number? So you don't understand.
Yeah, Rico, please.
Shall I answer that? First of all, the LEI is in fact an additional international unique identifier on top of what is already available nationally. In Denmark, there is no specific issuer of LEIs. I mean, there are many organizations which are able to issue LEIs in Denmark because they have gone through our accreditation program. which also means that those local operating units, LOUs, have to get the data probably from the Danish Business Authority as the basic source in Denmark. But the thing is that usually companies ask for an LEI because they have the obligation